Hygen is a former ninja who hid in rural America with his family in an attempt to escape his clan. However, he is forced to re-emerge as the darkest version of himself after he is ambushed by a team of assassins who exact a bloody retribution on him and his family for betraying the ancient ninja code. Our story begins with a man sweating profusely in a moving train, and he runs out immediately the train stops like he was being chased by his baby mama for child support money. He runs into a dark alley, and his pursuers fill the area with smoke as they surround him. Apparently, they are trained assassins who have been trailing his movements, so he asks how he was found, but they start attacking. However, the man is quite skilled as she fights brilliantly, even dodging some dangerous needle attacks by grabbing them with his teeth and firing back. He kills a lot of the assassins, but he gets overwhelmed by their numbers and gets stabbed in the neck. Now weakened, he gets stabbed from behind multiple times before their leader beheads him. Then he takes out a device to record the man's successful termination before they leave. The next scene takes us to rural America, where Joe is fixing his bike at home and his young son Ren tries to scare him with an Oni mask, but he fails with Joe telling him that he has eyes at the back of his head. His wife Mari scolds him for soiling his face with grease, and his son asks him if he can defeat evil Onis, but he jokes that they are too strong for him. Mari tells their son that she will defeat them for him, and Joe tells him to help him fix the bike so they can run if Mom can't handle the evil Onis. That night, Mari was reading in the living room, but her attention was drawn to the news on TV, which reported about several murder cases in the city. She looks worried and asks Joe if it's what she is thinking, but Ren jumps out with his mask trying to play, so Joe carries him to bed despite his protests. After putting their son to bed, he checks out all surveillance cameras positioned around the house, then joins his wife in the living room. She explains to him that she observed a pattern with the murder victims, telling Joe she is worried that the Reaper is involved. However, he assures her that this doesn't look like the Reaper because he works alone, and tells her that they are safe. The next morning, the family goes shopping and we see how Joe conceals their identity by wiping off the fingerprints from the doorknob. They listen to the news that night and there is another murder report which Marie confirms to be the fourth one. Finally, it's Ren's birthday, and the family sets up a nice barbecue with lots of laughter, and Joe singing as Ren blows out candles from his favorite birthday cake. He opens his present to find a video game, and Joe gives him a new mask which he found more appealing than the Oni mask. Wearing the new mask, Ren calls himself a hero, and Mari hugs both of them saying she loves them dearly. In the middle of the night, Joe wakes up and gets out of bed, telling Marie to be calm as he will be back. He heads downstairs to inspect the place and sees everything is in order. But suddenly, some scary-looking figures show up outside the window and attack him. The assassins break into the house, but Joe skillfully takes their weapon and kills each one of them. While stabbing one of the assassins, he hears his son scream for him, so he tries to rush to save him, killing the assassins who tried blocking him. He keeps running to save his family, but another assassin shoots 3 needles into his neck, which paralyzes him. But he doesn't give up, so he crawls up the stairs in pain. Outside the house, we can see a strange man waiting in the car. Joe finally crawls up to the room and sees a lot of dead assassins, but to his horror, he sees Mari and Ren's dead bodies on the floor, and next to them is the evil-looking man we saw in the beginning. He tells Joe that his wife put up a good fight, then he stabs her through the neck with his sword, which enrages Joe. However, another assassin stabs him from the back, but he pulls him along as he tries to reach his family. Eventually, he falls to the ground as his body is too hurt to keep going. The evil-looking man realizes that someone has tipped off the police as they hear sirens from a distance, so he checks Joe's body to make sure he is dead, and they leave before the police arrive to see the slaughtered family. Moments later, Joe, who was presumed dead and kept at a morgue, wakes up and his first thought goes to his dead family, which makes him puke due to mixed emotions, and he passes out. The next time he is conscious, he finds himself at the hospital and the nurse caring for him quickly calls for the doctor, but the only thing that Joe says is his wife's name before he passes out again. Finally, he wakes up and the doctor explains to him that he is lucky to be alive since he was already declared dead on arrival. Joe asks about his family, but he sadly tells him that they didn't survive. 2 officers from the FBI are seen coming to speak with Joe. They are Mike Simmons and Emma. Mike questions Joe on who the attackers were, but Joe's silence tells him it's a bad time, so they give him some space, with Mike leaving his card behind. On their way out of the hospital, he tells Emma that he believes that Joe could know who killed his family. but it's a wild guess because he saw the way he clenched his fists in anger. He assigns watch duty over Joe, telling Emma that she will be going first, and as she watches him on the roof that night, Joe recounts when he was being wheeled to see his family's body at the morgue. But he stops the wheelchair with his hands as he couldn't bear to see their dead body. He also remembers happy memories of his wife and child, which made him seethe in anger. He gets so pissed that he reaches out for his wrist and pulls out a strange needle, then stabs it in his neck, which causes weird changes to his body. Suddenly, he gets attacked by the assassins that murdered his family, and in rage he shows off his brilliant fighting skills by eliminating a couple of them. While fighting, he goes full Itachi mode by weaving hand signs and turning to black smoke. This move is so powerful that he kills multiple assassins at once. Like my clueless ex, Emma has no idea what's going on, and so she tries to charge in with her toy gun, but Joe knocks her out before she dies for nothing, then proceeds to keep killing the remaining assassins. He shoots a sword at the elevator to trap the assassins. Then he uses a pole to push them in before taking his time inside to butcher them like fresh fish at the market. Mike is worried that Emma hasn't been picking his calls and suddenly sees a pile of dead bodies which left him stunned. Joe is finally done butchering all assassins in the hospital building and sights the evil-looking man who killed his wife and son, so he attacks with so much rage. But the man is also skilled and he puts up a good fight with Joe. He even manages to place a strange device around Joe's neck in the middle of their battle. Joe frees himself from the device, but they are still evenly matched while fighting, so he goes Itachi mode again, and uses his shadow technique to land multiple hits on the man with his sword. He interrogates him asking how they found his family, but the man tells him that even though he conceals his face, he will not escape his fate. So Joe takes off his disguise, revealing himself to be Huygen, which shocks the man. Then he goes ahead to stab him. Eventually he goes to see his family in the morgue, but he falls to his knees in despair as he couldn't bear to look at them. Later, he goes back home and drills a hole in the wall, then takes out a box containing a scary red mask, other undisclosed items, and a picture of his wife and son, which brought back memories again. He grabs a can of fuel and sets the whole house on fire. Huygen watches the flames burn the place he once cherished, puts on the scary red mask, and walks out with an angry look. In the next scene, we are given an explanation of a ninja clan with a secret art, but its members are not allowed to share this secret with anyone. Despite the clan serving Japan, terrorist attacks were on the increase at one point, which shook the world, leading to the clan leaving Japan's jurisdiction and moving to a higher authority outside Japan. Now they can share their secret art with foreigners with claims that it is for the future of Japan, and any opposition to their decision will be exterminated. Our story moves on to show a scenario where a man who looks like Huygen comes home to find his wife dead, but his son is still alive. However, this turns out to be from Huygen's dream, and he wakes up. He is seen holding the evil-looking man he had defeated at the hospital, captive in what looks like an abandoned warehouse. The man is hung upside down with a rope and looks like he has been tortured. Suddenly, Huygen falls to the ground, and a strange old man walks in, then starts scolding him for always getting himself into a mess. He sympathizes with Huygen on the death of his family. Then he observes the darkened injury on his arm and berates him for using one of the secret ninja arts, which happens to be the time he pulled a needle out of his wrist and stabbed it in his neck back at the hospital rooftop. The old man warns him to never use such arts again as it could kill him. Then he goes ahead to patch him up. Huygen wakes up later that night feeling better as he can move his body, so he goes to check on his prisoner by stabbing him mercilessly. But the tough man won't budge, so Huygen feeds him a delicious meal of continuous knife stabs all over his body every day from morning to night. One day the evil man tells him how he enjoyed killing his wife and son, which made Huygen tell him that he would burn their memories into his head as he set him on fire. Back at the FBI building, Mike is being told by his superior that he has been taken off Joe Logan's case, which he protests against to no avail, making it obvious that the agency is hiding something. He angrily walks out and calls on his colleague Emma, who advises him to pretend and just obey the superiors because something shady is going on behind the scenes of Joe Logan's case. She also reveals to Mike that she did some digging on Joe's family, only to find out that they don't exist and their names are just aliases, which is similar to the other murder victims. At the warehouse, Huygen packs his bag for the long journey of revenge ahead of him, and tightly holds onto a strange device before setting off on his bike. He stops by a temple and bursts in ready to fight, but he finds out it's abandoned, so he heads to several other locations where he thought the assassins might be hiding. But he is left disappointed and frustrated. He goes drinking at a nearby bar, but ends up thrashing 2 local officers that try to harass him. He walks out of the bar, but just before he drives off, he takes a look at the card agent Mike left with him at the hospital and calls the number written on it. Agent Mike is shocked to receive a call from him and signals Emma to track him down. He asks Huygen why his name, Joe Logan, does not exist in their records, but our smart ninja guy realizes he will be tracked and snaps the phone in 2, then proceeds to warn Mike to stop playing games, otherwise he would hang up. Mike apologizes, and Huygen tells him he has some questions for him, so he wants to meet, which led to Mike setting up a venue. Following their call, Huygen heads to the venue that Mike has set up for their meeting. On the way, we see an advertisement for a company called Auza, which makes all kinds of technology. Huygen arrives at the venue, but observes the area from the rooftop. Meanwhile, Mike was already waiting inside till he finally enters and takes a seat. Mike requests that Huygen show his face as he thought he died on the roof, but Huygen shows his business card instead. Mike tells him he isn't satisfied, so Huygen stands to leave and he stops him. Huygen tells Mike he wants any clues regarding the death of his family, and he says he will give them to Huygen if he cooperates. Huygen accepts, but Mike foolishly thought he let his guard down, so he points his gun at him, telling him he is under arrest as he can't make deals with a suspect. If only our agent knows that the ninja could chop him into minced beef in seconds. Suddenly, an Auza Eats courier comes to pick up an order, so Mike pauses, then continues interrogating Huygen when the courier leaves. Another courier guy comes in and leaves, so he walks towards Huygen to restrain him. But as someone else enters, Mike shouts at them to leave, thinking it's the same courier. But to his surprise, the man quickly attacks them with 2 sharp swords, which Huygen easily fends off. Mike tries to join the fight, but he is useless and a burden to Huygen, who keeps saving his sorry ass. Then Huygen releases his shadow art that gives him 4 extra arms like Goro from Mortal Kombat, which he uses to fiercely fight the guy who has teamed up with a friend. But they weren't a match for Huygen, who burnt them before playing dart with their skull. Surprised with all he had seen, Mike asks Huygen who he really is, as he is not the real Joe. Huygen shows him his Joe mask face and admits that he is a ninja just like their attacker. This information almost made Mike pee his pants as he was sweating badly. Suddenly, a group of mysterious men shower them bullets from outside the cafe, and after the whole ruckus, Mike sees that Huygen has vanished. He goes on to inspect the ninja's weapon, which tore through his armor because their technology isn't yet advanced to make such a weapon. Then, Mike and Huygen both look at the Auza advertisement suspiciously. On the other hand, somewhere a ninja called Zai just reported to his master that Huygen was still alive. Apparently, Huygen will face a lot of powerful ninjas in his quest for revenge. But is he skilled enough, or does he have more shadow arts up his sleeve to have an upper hand in future battles? Let us know if you want the second part by commenting "Bloody Revenge" in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you guys in the next video.